My grandmother's fingers tightened around mine so suddenly I almost dropped my fork. The table went quiet in my head, even though everyone else kept talking. Plates clinked. Someone laughed. Wine was poured. Normal sounds, safe sounds. Her grip was not normal. It was desperate. Her skin felt cold, damp. Her nails pressed into my knuckles like she was trying to leave a mark, proof that this moment was real. I leaned closer, forcing a smile for the rest of the table. "Grandma?" I whispered. "You okay?" Her eyes found mine. Not soft, not loving, terrified. "You're in danger," she said. Her voice shook, but the words didn't. They landed clean, precise. I felt my chest tighten. "What?" I murmured. "Grandma, what are you talking about?" She shook her head slowly, like she was afraid the truth might spill out too loudly. "Leap," she said. "Now." My pulse spiked. I glanced around the table. My father was carving meat, focused. My aunt was mid-story. My mother smiled at something on her phone. No one noticed us? "Are you sure?" I asked, forcing calm into my voice. "You're scaring me." Her eyes filled, but no tears fell. "Please," she said. "Trust me, I did." That sentence lodged itself somewhere deep and sharp. "I did? Did what?" Before I could ask, she released my hand like it burned her, picked up her glass, took a shaky sip. Conversation flowed back into my ears. I sat there frozen, my smile stiff, my appetite gone. My grandmother had always been sharp, observant, the kind of woman who noticed what people tried to hide. She didn't hallucinate. She didn't dramatize. And she never begged. I excused myself a few minutes later, blaming a headache. No one argued. In the hallway, I checked my phone. No messages, no missed calls. Still, my hands wouldn't stop trembling. In the bathroom mirror, I stared at my own face. I looked the same, but something had shifted. A warning like that doesn't come from nowhere. It comes from experience. And as I stood there listening to laughter echo from the dining room, one thought kept repeating in my head. If my grandmother was afraid for me, it meant someone in that room had given her a reason. I returned to the table with my smile rehearsed and my guard raised. That's how survival begins, not with panic, but with performance. My grandmother wouldn't meet my eyes again. She focused on her plate, hands folded tight in her lap like she was holding something in place, or holding something back. I watched everyone else. Not obviously. Not enough to be noticed. My father laughed too loudly at jokes that weren't funny. My aunt kept checking her phone, angling the screen away from the table. My mother was calm in a way that felt curated. Too composed. She asked if I was feeling better. Her tone was warm, maternal, practiced. "Yes," I said. "Just tired." She nodded, accepted it too easily. The rest of dinner passed like that. Ordinary on the surface, uneasy underneath. Every sound felt slightly offbeat, like a song played at the wrong speed. When dessert came, my grandmother stood up abruptly. "I need air," she said. No one stopped her. I followed a moment later. The porch light cast long shadows across the yard. She stood near the railing, gripping it like the ground might tilt. "Grandma," I said softly, "talk to me." She shook her head, her shoulders trembled. "You don't have much time," she said. "That's all I can say." "Time for what?" I asked. She turned to me then, eyes sharp again, focused. "To see clearly," she said. "Before you're convinced you don't need to." That sentence unsettled me more than the first. "Who?" I pressed. "Who is doing this?" She looked back toward the house, at the windows, at the light spilling out. "Someone you trust," she said. Then footsteps. The back door opened. My aunt called her name. The moment fractured. My grandmother straightened, her fear locked away behind politeness. Inside, coats were gathered, goodbyes exchanged. Before leaving, she pressed something into my palm, a folded piece of paper. "Don't open it here," she whispered. I didn't. I waited until I was alone in my car, engine off, street silent. The paper held a name, and a date, and one sentence written in shaky handwriting. I should have spoken sooner. The date was over 20 years old, before I was born. My mind raced, trying to connect it to anything I knew. It didn't fit, not yet, but something was forming. On the drive home, memories surfaced uninvited. The fights that stopped when I entered a room. The way my father watched my mother when he thought no one noticed. The sudden inheritance changes. The relatives who disappeared without explanation. At home, I locked the door behind me, not out of fear. Out of instinct, I placed the paper on the table and stared at it. My grandmother had warned me to leave. Not run, not hide. Leave. That meant permanence. Whatever this was, it wasn't a misunderstanding. It was a pattern. I didn't confront anyone. I was only just beginning to see where I fit inside it. Instead, I did what I'd always done when things felt wrong, I observed. The next morning, I replayed dinner in my head like surveillance footage. Paused on moments that hadn't felt important at the time. My aunt's phone. My mother's silence when my grandmother stood up. My father's laugh. Too loud, too quick. I started with the paper. The date led me to public records. Old ones. Buried under newer filings and polite omissions. Marriage certificates. Property transfers. A name that appeared once, then vanished. The name my grandmother had written. It belonged to a woman listed as a witness on my parents' marriage license. I searched her next. No social media, no recent records. But 23 years ago, she'd given birth at the same hospital where I was born. 2 weeks apart. That detail tightened something in my chest. I requested my birth records. Routine. Innocent. Hospitals comply when you sound calm and reasonable. I compared timestamps. Something didn't line up. The doctor who signed my birth certificate wasn't on duty that day. The nurse's name was misspelled. Small things. Human errors, maybe. Or edits. I kept my behavior normal. I called my mother. Asked about recipes, childhood stories. She spoke easily. Too easily. I asked about my grandmother. She worries too much, my mother said. Always has. I imagined her saying it with a smile. At night, I listened to old voicemails saved on my phone. My grandmother's voice, years younger, stronger. Warnings disguised as advice. Be careful who you rely on. Pay attention to what people don't say. I'd thought it was wisdom. Now it felt like regret. I checked phone records next. Family plans are a gift that keeps giving. There was a number my mother contacted weekly, always deleted from her call log. I traced it. Prepaid, unregistered. But the location pinged near my aunt's house. I didn't jump to conclusions. I waited. I visited my grandmother 2 days later. She looked relieved to see me. You didn't leave, she said quietly. Not yet, I replied. She studied my face. You're thinking, she said. Yes, that's good, she murmured. That means you're not blind anymore. I asked her one question. Did someone lie about who I am? Her lips pressed together. She didn't answer, which was an answer. As I drove home, the shape of it finally emerged. This wasn't about inheritance, or jealousy, or old grudges. This was about identity, and someone had spent decades making sure I never questioned mine. The scariest part wasn't the betrayal itself. It was how normal everything still looked. That's how traps work. They don't look like danger. They look like home. The proof didn't arrive dramatically. No envelope slipped under my door. No anonymous message lighting up my phone. It came the way truth usually does. Quiet, procedural, undeniable. I received the hospital archive request 3 days later. 2 births. Same wing. Same night nurse. Different mothers. The name my grandmother had written appeared again. Listed not as a visitor, as the patient. My hands didn't shake this time. I printed everything. Laid it out on the table. Color-coded, chronological, clean. Then I ordered a DNA test. Not from a flashy company. From a lab that dealt in court cases. I used my grandmother's old hairbrush. She didn't ask why. She already knew. While I waited, I watched my family move around me like actors who didn't know the script had changed. My mother called every evening. My aunt became suddenly attentive. My father started asking about my plans. Too interested. Like they were checking timelines. When the results arrived, I read them once. Then again. Then I sat very still. My mother wasn't my biological mother. My aunt was, and the woman I'd grown up calling aunt. She was the one who had given birth to me. The switch hadn't been accidental. It had been agreed upon. A private arrangement, a clean solution. My aunt was unmarried. My parents were stable. Appearances mattered. So they traded, and my grandmother, she'd known. She'd watched them do it, and she'd stayed silent, until now. I invited them all to dinner. Neutral ground, no tension in my voice. They came willingly. Why wouldn't they? They thought the lie was airtight. Halfway through the meal, I placed the folder on the table. No speech, No accusation, just paper. My aunt went pale first. My mother followed. My father didn't look confused. He looked tired. "This is real," I said calmly. "I checked." Silence collapsed inward. My aunt's hands began to shake. "I was young," she whispered. I nodded. "I was a baby." My mother reached for me. I leaned back. "No," I said. That was all. They cried. They explained. They justified. I listened like an auditor. When they finished, I stood up. "I'm leaving," I said. "Not tonight, not this city." My grandmother met my eyes from the end of the table. I didn't disappear immediately. That would have been mercy. Instead, I stayed just long enough to let the truth do what it does best. Spread, silently, relentlessly. I didn't tell anyone outright. I let paperwork speak for me. I updated my medical records first. Changed next of kin. Corrected lineage. Hospitals don't argue with DNA. Then I met with a lawyer. Not to sue, not to accuse, just to document. Affidavits. Notarized statements. A sealed timeline of events. Something official enough to exist. Quiet enough to terrify. My aunt started calling. At first she cried. Then she reasoned. Then she begged. She said she'd done it out of love. That she'd watched me grow up from a distance. That giving me away had been the hardest thing she'd ever done. I never answered. My mother tried next. She didn't cry. She sounded angry. Like someone whose role had been stolen. "You were raised well," she said. "You had everything." I almost laughed. What I had was a script, one she'd written without my consent. I met my father once more. Public place. No witnesses we knew. He looked older, smaller. "You didn't have to do this," he said. "I didn't," I replied. "You did. I just stopped protecting it." He nodded slowly. That was his confession. The final move wasn't loud. It was administrative. I filed to amend my birth certificate. Legally? Irreversibly. The state approved it within weeks. When the update became official, notifications went out. To banks, to insurers, to institutions that track lineage and liability. My aunt lost something that day. Not custody, credibility. My mother lost something too, not a daughter. Control. The family narrative fractured. People asked questions. Old friends reevaluated memories. My grandmother stopped attending gatherings. She told me later, "They can't look at me without seeing the lie." Good. I sent one final message. A group text. No emotion. No explanation. I know who I am now. Please don't contact me again. Then I changed my number. Blocked every trace. The devastation wasn't in my absence. It was in the permanence of it. They couldn't fix this. They couldn't reframe it. They couldn't pretend I was mistaken. The truth had fingerprints now. I live with the truth the way others live with habits. Quietly, without explanation. It doesn't ache anymore. It doesn't demand attention. It simply exists. Sometimes I think about the version of me that sat at that dinner table. Fork paused midair, smiling politely while danger wrapped its fingers around my hand. That person is gone, not broken. Replaced. I visit my grandmother now and then. We don't talk about the past. We don't need to. Her apology lives in the way she watches me leave, like she's counting steps, making sure I get away safely. I let her have that. The rest of them faded faster than I expected. Families built on lies collapse quietly. No explosion, just erosion. I heard my aunt moved. My mother stopped hosting holidays. My father avoids old friends. Their punishment isn't loneliness, it's memory. Every normal moment now carries an aftertaste they can't swallow. As for me, I didn't gain a new family. I didn't reclaim anything sentimental. What I gained was ownership of my name, my history, my silence. People think walking away is weakness. It's not. It's precision. I wasn't saved by a warning. I was awakened by it. And once you see the truth clearly enough, you don't need revenge. You become it. Agar aap chahe, main. Distance doesn't erase things. It sharpens them. Once I was gone, the story didn't end. It metastasized. I heard fragments through people who didn't realize they were carrying messages. A cousin who called by accident. An old neighbor who thought I'd want to know. Even silence has leaks. My aunt stopped being invited to things first. Not officially. Just forgotten. Birthdays passed without calls. Weddings without seats. She became a footnote people avoided reading aloud. The woman who had given me away discovered how quickly a family can do the same to you. My mother tried to rewrite the narrative. She always did. She told people she'd saved me, that I'd been confused, that blood isn't everything. She framed herself as generous, noble. But lies age badly when documents exist. Someone always checks. My father withdrew into routines. Work, home, repeat. Men like him don't collapse publicly. They hollow out privately. He stopped correcting people when they asked about me. That was his confession. The strangest part was my grandmother. She aged faster after the truth surfaced. Not from guilt, from release. "You were the last secret," she told me once over tea. "I can rest now." I understood then. Her warning hadn't been about danger to my body. It had been about danger to my mind. If I'd stayed, I would have been slowly convinced that confusion was normal. That doubt was disloyal. That silence was love. That kind of harm doesn't bruise. It rewrites you. I built a new life with intention. Chosen people. Clean lines. No shared histories that could be weaponized. Still, sometimes late at night, I thought about the child they traded like an inconvenience. The baby who grew up believing gratitude was a duty. "That version of me doesn't haunt me," she informs me. She's why I notice manipulation immediately now. Why affection without accountability makes my skin crawl. Why I don't argue when people show me who they are. I just adjust access. I didn't expose them publicly. I didn't need to. They live inside the fallout of their own choices. Every gathering carries my absence like a missing tooth. Felt constantly, never discussed. As for me, I don't belong to their story anymore. And that, I've learned, is the most complete ending there is. There are days when I forget them entirely. Not in a dramatic way. Not with effort. Just naturally, that's how I know I'm free. Freedom doesn't arrive with fireworks. It arrives when the past stops asking for your attention. I no longer imagine conversations that will never happen. I don't rehearse explanations. I don't wonder if they understand. Understanding was never the problem. Choice was. They chose comfort over honesty, order over truth, silence over me. And I chose differently. The warning my grandmother gave me wasn't just about leaving a house or a dinner table. It was about exiting a story that required my confusion to survive. Once I stepped out of it, the story collapsed under its own weight. I didn't need revenge. I didn't need justice delivered loudly. I needed separation. Clean, final, non-negotiable. Sometimes people ask if I miss having a family. I think about it for a moment. Then I answer honestly. I don't miss what was never real. What I have now is smaller, but it's solid. Truth doesn't shout. It doesn't beg. It doesn't explain itself twice. It simply stands. And so do I. My grandmother was right. I was in danger, not of being hurt, but of never knowing who I was. I left. I learned. I lived. And the people who built a lie big enough to raise me inside it, they're still trapped there. That's the difference between us now. I walked away with my name intact. They're left whispering it in rooms where I no longer exist.